Hi guys, the video I'm gonna do today, I had my doubts about actually making it and posting it online, and the reason for that is because it's not what I would consider uh, an easy or even a moderate job, difficulty rated. But the reason I chose to actually make it is because with patience, and with patience basically that's all you need. You can solve a problem which Apple Store will charge you an arm and a leg to do, or other people will charge you a stupid amount of money to do it. Now the job I'm talking about is the replacement of the keyboard for a MacBook Pro. Does not matter if it's a 13 or 15 inch. All the Retina one up to 2016 is the same procedure. So starting with late 2012 Retina one up to 2016, they all have the same type of keyboard. Now this particular customer, just to give you a little background story about the computer, she brought the computer in saying that some of the keys are not typing, and she took it to the Apple Store, and Apple Store diagnosed it as being a faulty battery. Now that's moronic. That's impossible. It does not make any kind of sense that the battery will have any influence on how the keyboard works in your computer, not in a MacBook Pro. The only thing which the battery will do to a MacBook Pro will be pushing against the trackpad, the mouse right here, so you won't be able to click it. And I've seen it so many times. The actual trackpad gets lifted, and that's because of some bad batteries in some of the MacBook Pros, which are bulging out and they're pushing against the trackpad. However, they will not interfere with the way the keyboard works. So that's why I decided to make this video, so I show you guys how to do it. And so let's dig in. Now, one more thing I want to mention: many places will change the whole top case. That's not what I'm gonna do. That's too easy to do it, and that costs much more money. Now, in the newer models, 2012 and after, the keyboard, it's actually, I would say, riveted to the top case, and that's what I want to show you, how to actually take the actual keyboard, which is this guy, okay, and mount it on the top case which you already have. Okay, so we're gonna start up by disassembling the computer. Make sure the computer is off, which I already made sure that it is off. And I also removed the 10 screws on the sides of the computer. So we're gonna remove the back case. We're gonna set it on the side, and this is the internal of your computer, the internals. Now, the reason why Apple told her is the battery, because they do the Apple diagnose test, and you know, that gives you stops at any errors it might found. The first error probably which pop up was the battery, and they said in their infinite wisdom, the guys who work at the Genius Bar, they said, oh hey, it's the battery, so it must be that. And they do that, they change one part and they figure out, no, it's not that, and they're gonna charge you for another one, and for another one they're gonna end up deleting your data and replacing the motherboard for a thing which might be so simplistic. Anyway, you have to understand they're not in a business of repairing stuff, so their knowledge of repair is pretty limited. Anyways, I'm not saying that there are not competent guys or good guys who knows actually something who work there. There might be, but they're very few. With that said, I'll show you why they said it's the battery. You see the battery? These two cells are bulging out, which is an indicator. They're supposed to be flat. When you press on it, you're not supposed to feel any movement. This one, I don't know if you can see, when I'm pressing on it, it looks like a little pillow. Now this is only gonna deteriorate to the point where actually the battery might even stop charging. So with that said, I gotta take a call and I'll be right with you. Okay, in order to get to the battery, we will have to literally remove absolutely everything from inside of the computer. It might be a little bit intimidating, but as I said, it's nothing to it. I mean, you'll with a little bit of patience, you'll manage to do it. Will take probably about 2 hours for the repair if you've never done it before. So let's dig in. Let me arrange the lights in this place. Okay. 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 So we're gonna start wherever you guys want. First, what we're gonna do, we're going to disconnect the battery, which is right here. We're gonna lift this flap. There we go. And we remove the battery, making sure that there is no power going on, just in case you touch with a screwdriver, you touch something you're not supposed to, is not going to short. So we'll start. I typically start on the right hand side, so we're gonna start by removing the speaker, the left speaker, right, which is right now. And why we have to do that is because we have to remove the battery, which is glued, and doing so you will have to have the speaker removed, otherwise you cannot put the pry tool underneath. So make sure you find a way to arrange the screws in such a way that you're not gonna put the wrong screws back. So totally up to you how you wanna do it. Okay, let's try to zoom in a little bit. Okay. Now we have the microphone. We'll leave this little tab right here, and on the right hand side is the microphone. We'll lift this little tab. We'll pull the connection out. We will disconnect. This particular piece is the charger, so we will remove the charger. We're just gonna pull it straight out. Okay. We will remove the connector for the LCD, which it has a little black tape. You lift on the tape up. There is a little tab right there, and then you push the connector backwards. You lift it up like that. On the top you have the backlight for the keyboard. It's a little black tab. Just pop it up just like so. In here you have the keyboard connector. Lift this little tab and pull out the keyboard connector. Next to it you'll have the trackpad. Also has a tab with a little flip, and you'll pull it right out. And the camera. Now the camera cable, it is glued onto the fan, so I would say unglue it first. Slide your finger or a plastic pry tool and slightly lift it up just enough so you can pull on the cable. Now the reason I'm saying that you have to do it, you see this one, you'll push it upwards. Be very careful, and that's all. If this would have been glued, it would have been a little bit hard to remove this particular cable. Now you can just finish ungluing it. Okay, we will remove the 3 connectors of the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. 1, 2, 3. Try not to lift on the cable itself. Try to lift by holding the tab, okay, the metal tab right here. So lift on that, because if you pull on the cable you might break the cable, and those are a pain in the neck to have it replaced. And now we're gonna remove the 2 screws which are holding together the plate, which is pressing down on the Dora Wi-Fi I'm sorry, on the daughter board to the main board. The daughter board has the HDMI connection, it has the Wi-Fi card, and it has the SD card. So we'll remove these two. We will remove this one just like so. Try using plastic pry tools. You can get it for around 90 cents online. Try not to use metal, as metal might damage components. We have this cable out. Okay. Now, in here you have the power cable for the daughter board, which you wanna, you see, it's gonna be this particular cable. Where is it? This guy. Okay, gonna just push it like so upwards, and it's out. Okay, and then you have the left speaker connection, which we will just lift it up, and that's all it is to it. Okay, now we're gonna remove the left speaker. Right speaker, when you look at the computer, my left right now, because the computer is in first. That's 3 screws. This is one thing which they forgot to glue, thanks God, because they probably figured out, oh, the speakers blow, so let the people have the satisfaction of replacing their own speaker. Okay, and now we will start to remove the main board. Now, all the screws, you can use a T5 screwdriver or a T5 bit, except for one screw, which is right here. It is a Phillips one. Okay, let's see, right here. It's holding the heatsink. That's a regular Phillips screw. So I will remove that one first, then pop in the T5 bit, and we'll proceed to the disassembly of the motherboard. So you have one screw on the left hand side of the battery connector. You have one screw on the right hand side of the fan, one screw on the top right hand side of the fan, one screw on top of the SSD drive. This is your SSD drive, just in case you are wondering, was that big piece right there. And then you have one more screw right there by the lvds connector, and these are all the screws of the main board. Now, in order to remove the main board, you will see that, let's see, you have the heatsink, and then you have the fan. The fan is also attached to the main board. So to save you trouble, I will just remove this screw, which is on a daughter board, one there and one on the bottom right here, and we're gonna leave this screw still attached to the main board, therefore leaving the fan still attached to the main board. We'll lift it up just like so, and this is your main board. With the main board out, we'll proceed to removing the daughter board. Now the daughter board, it has one screw right here. We don't have to remove the Wi-Fi card, and we have one big screw right there. Now what's up with that screw? That screw, it's a screw with a hole in it to allow the little Phillips screw go in. Now for that one, if I'm correct, you will need a T8 bit or T8 screwdriver in order to remove it. Okay, we'll remove that screw, and we will remove the small daughter board. Okay. Okay. Now under here, you see this black piece right here? This is where the keyboard is. I don't know if I mentioned in the beginning, one of the only causes for a keyboard to go bad would be a liquid spill. I had so many times people telling me, oh no, I didn't spill anything in my MacBook, and then when I open it up, I show them the spill. Now when I'm saying spill, don't think that I'm talking about a whole cup of water or something. No, even if it's summertime and you drink a cold drink, on top of it couple drips will go into the keyboard, you just say, oh, I'm just gonna clean it up by hand, nothing happened, that might find its way into the keyboard, will damage the contacts, and then the keyboard will stop. And it's typically not one key but multiple keys. Anyway, long story short, let's go back to work. Now what I like to do, because for what I'm gonna do next, I will have to actually just rip this keyboard apart. So I don't have a sensitive part like the screen still attached to the top of the case, so I'm gonna remove the screen. The screen is fairly easy to remove. You will need the same T8 bit or T8 screwdriver which you used before. You have 6 screws. You have, okay, for this one I don't need to get, bear with me for a second. Okay, they're pretty tight. So you have 3 screws. I'm just gonna loosen them up right now. Remember, when you put them back, try to apply a little thread locker, the blue thread locker, to keep it tight in there. Okay, so we remove the screws on the top left, and then we remove the screws on the top right. So there's 3 and 3. Now there are also, okay, come on buddy. Okay, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, as you notice, there will be 2 more screws holding the screen together, which are these 2. Okay, right there. One there, and one here to the other one, right here. Okay, we'll have to remove those. Those are a T5 screws. One and 2. And if you see, these screws are attached to a little plastic thingy which is holding the hinge pressed down. Okay, they can only go one way. There's no way you can put the left on the right and the right on the left. Okay, now the screw, I'm sorry, the screen is completely unscrewed. We're gonna hold on the screen. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit. Okay, we're gonna hold on the screen and we're slowly gonna open the computer up. Okay, up to around 90 degrees. And then you see that the top part just came nicely out. We have the screen, which we're gonna put it on the side for now. And this is the part we're going to work on right now. Now, the only thing you guys don't have to remove is the DC jack, which is right here, and the microphone board. We'll have to remove the battery. You can use this video, well, parts of it, to see how to remove the battery from aforementioned MacBook Pros. They all have the same procedure to it. Now, the battery, it has on this particular model, which is the A1502 2015 13-inch, there is a small screw right here. Okay, so I'm back. Sorry, had to cut it off. Where was I? Removing the battery. Yeah. So after we remove the screw, what you're gonna need, first off, you're gonna need, that's what I'm using. These tools are basically little pry tools. I'm using them. They're made for painters, I guess. Now the reason I'm using them, they're sturdy enough but flexible enough of not to damage the battery once I insert it under the battery. You see, it is very soft. So what you have to do, some people will tell you to heat it up. Heat up the bottom part right here to loosen the glue, so the battery will come out easier. Might be a good advice. However, I never ever use heat on top of lithium batteries. The reason, especially on top of the lithium batteries, which are a little bit damaged. I don't want the battery to get damaged and then just explode in my face or anything like that. So what I'm gonna use this particular tool. I'm gonna insert it on the right hand side right here. Okay, let's see. And slowly just cut the glue underneath, work my way just like so. Okay. And the first cell is out. Now you see how much glue they used. I will show you right now. You see? That's as much glue as they use on their batteries. And we're gonna go to the next cell. Now where you have to be a little bit careful, by the way, if you use one of these pry tools, make sure that it always stays flat on the bottom case. You don't want to go up, you don't want to poke the battery and short it out. Okay, so slowly you will cut the glue. Now I can't really tell you on as per eBay policy where did I get this particular tools or what the brand is, but I did get it into a shop where they sell a lot of paints and paintbrushes and canvas and all this kind of stuff, which is aimed towards painters. I mean, like the guys who draw painting, not the painters, wall painters. So you can find it there. There's a bunch of them. These three are my favorite ones. I'm just gonna show it to you again. Each one serves a little bit different purpose. Okay, so these are the first two cells of the battery. Now we're gonna flip this one on the other side. We're gonna do the same with the other two cells, which are on the opposite side. Slowly, take your time. Make sure you're not poking the cell, as you will short out and you're not gonna like the result. If nothing else, at least a nasty smell will come out of it, which is hard to get rid of. Okay, so that's the first cell. We're gonna do the second one. I'm doing it a little bit faster than, just because I guess I'm used to doing it. I'm not saying that I cannot mess it up, but still. This is the second one. And now, where you have to be a little bit careful, you see this cable right here, this is your trackpad cable, right? Which goes under the battery, under these two cells of battery. What separates the cable from the battery, it's also a very, very tiny metal shield. But that does not mean that you cannot damage the cable, because if you go like this with the tool and you're just gonna touch it, you're gonna cut it, and then you'll need to replace that one. So be very careful, okay? So how we're gonna do this, we're gonna leave these two up, don't force it too much, and then we're gonna insert the tool right here. Okay, so I'm back again. I'm during business hours and I have to take some calls. Some calls are handled by somebody else, but anyways, so as I said, be very careful to the cable of the trackpad cable, and everything should go pretty smooth. Don't force it, just try to work your way up little by little. Okay, battery is removed. Okay, and now what you could do, because you'll have to eventually re-glue the battery, I use one of these, I don't know how they're called, Stanley, whatever, you know, it's like a little knife. I'm just scraping off the tar tape from the bottom, because I'm gonna use my own tape to glue the battery back. So that's all it is. don't try with alcohol or anything like that, because you're gonna hate your life. It's gonna take so much alcohol to get rid of all this star tape and so much work that is not even worth it. As you see, this is very easy to do. Okay, this cost in a 99-cent store. Probably you can get a cheap one for probably $2-3. So that's all you need. Okay, that's out, that's out. Here, when you're gonna scrape it, be careful of these cables, okay? Now, just in the eventuality that you did not had enough ungluing of the battery, you'll have to unglue another thing, which is this shield right here. Okay, now that shield, it's also glued. On some models of the Mac, it is actually secured with some screws, but not into this one. Please excuse the interruptions. Come on. Okay, now we were at the removing of this rail shield. You can try it with this tool. It's not really gonna work that well. I'm using something a little bit more sturdy, metallic. Put it inside and just don't worry about it. You can just pull it right up. You can use some heat on this one if you want. If you have a heat gun, you can use the heat gun. If you have a hair dryer, you can use the hair dryer on high. Now, what's the purpose of this? I have no idea what's the purpose of this shield, to be honest with you. But it is here to make your life miserable. So once I get a good grip on it, see, once I can put my finger underneath, I'm just gonna slowly lift it up. The glue is gonna give up. Don't worry about bending it. It is made as from solid. It looks like a steel or something, so it's not gonna bend that easily. With that removed, you see this is the cable, which you don't have to break. This is the cable for the trackpad. Now, put that on a side, and let me show you how they figure out to put the battery, to put the keyboard together. You'll have to remove the black tape, which is the backlight. Some of the keyboards which you'll be able to buy online, they will come with the backlight included, so you can just rip this one apart. If you don't have the backlight coming with your keyboard, then carefully remove it. Okay, so all you need is a little tweezer. You go like this on the sides, because this is glued too. Wow, you might say at this point, $2,000 machine, everything is glued. Well, yes, because Apple loves you as a customer. So you know, they want to make everything easy for you to change and to replace. So here we go. We're gonna remove this roll. Now, where you have this cable, which is the keyboard cable, this is caught up with another black tape on top of the black tape. So we're gonna cut that one off. Okay, just like this. We don't need it. It's useless. Okay, so we will continue removing the backlight. Come on. There's still a little residual useless black tape here. Okay, now it's gone. And the backlight, it's removed. Now, in many cases, if there was a lot of water damage, the black tape, the backlight will stick to the keyboard and will break. Don't worry about it, it will still work. It's just the diffuser which will break. Now when I'm looking at this keyboard, it looks pretty clean. Now I'll show you why. I'm not sure how you're gonna be able to see in the camera, but okay. Now under, yeah, you won't be able to see. These are individual keys, right? The back of individual keys. Now you see all these lines right here, those are contacts. Let's see. Okay, those are contacts. They're supposed to be nice and white. What do you see here? If you see, let's see. Well, you don't see anything, so that's a little bit right there, a little bit of a damage, leaky damage, a little bit of a leaky damage right, where am I? Right there. It's hard to see on the camera, but trust me, there was some liquid being dropped on it. Now, in the past, they used to, you see these little dots right here, those are rivets, metal rivets. In the past, they used to put screws, which you can just unscrew and then replace the keyboard. However, they stopped doing that. So, whenever somebody will replace your keyboard, will replace the whole top case, just like this. Okay. Now, what I'm gonna do is this. I'm gonna rip these rivets apart. How am I gonna do that? With the help of a little plier. You can use any flat nose plier, which looks like this, and the little help of a little any kind of metal tool which you can slide under the keyboard. Use protection, eye protection, because they will jump out. So let me show you how to do it. Now I'll take a little let's see, let me find another one, a little pry tool, a little metal pry tool, and I will insert the pry tool right here on the side, right, and lift. Just do like this, don't worry about it. See, just lift it up. You heard the pop, so that's, you see, the keyboard is lifted up from there. Then I'm gonna grab it with the plier and slowly, don't rush, slowly pull it up, because if you rush, you're gonna have those rivets stuck on the back of the frame. Now I'm gonna go in the back, because this is gonna make some mess. I'm gonna remove the keyboard and I'm gonna show you the end result. So I'm back. The keyboard is removed. As you see, this is the frame. That's how the frame looks like without the keyboard. And remember, the customer said, well, I had no spill on it. Well, here we go. That's the clear proof that it's coffee right there. Let's see. That is a spill. Okay. Now, I want to mention, in some computers, some models, the keyboard removal is easier than in other ones, and in the sense that actually these little rivets, they break quite easily. Okay, in this particular one, as you see, the rivets, they stayed on the top case. See, it's right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so what you want to do when you have it like that, you don't want to file them off, because then in those little holes where the rivets are, you're gonna put a tiny screw which is gonna keep the keyboard together. So what you want to do, I'm using a flat nose screwdriver, flat nose plier, and I don't know how much you're gonna see. I'm gonna put the head like this, and boom, it's out. You see it? It's out. We move to the next one. Boom, it's out. Out. You see? It's fairly simple if you have the right plier. I hated my life when I had different pliers. I found this one, and it's a very strong, high quality plier, which I used this so many times, and as you see, it's almost perfect right here. Okay, right there. So that's what you have to do. In my case, there were just couple rivets which they did not remove. You might be luckier, or you might be not so lucky, and you'll have a little bit more work to do with the plier. However, this job will save you considerably amount of money, because you don't have to buy the whole top case. Again, if you choose to go with the whole top case, then your job will be much easier. You'll skip this part and you'll just go at reassembling. You'll get this one, you'll reassemble the LCD, motherboard, battery, and so far and so forth. Now we're going to get a new keyboard, and we're gonna reattach it. We're gonna put it just like so. Make sure that the through holes are perfectly aligned with the posts. Okay, which is right here one. You want to push it down, and there is another one right here, and two more right here. Okay, so those, please make sure they are properly through the keyboard before you start to put any screws, because once you start to put the screws, you won't be able to move the keyboard anymore, and aligning those posts is going to be almost impossible. Like in this case, there is one post which does not want to go through, and I'm gonna help it out a little bit. Okay, well, I'm actually happy that this happened. So, you know, you'll see what I do. I'm just pushing it down with the empty. I removed the bit from my screwdriver and I just pushed it down. That's in. All the other ones are in, and now we're gonna take a Phillips head, the thinnest, smallest one you have. The one I'm using, it's PH000, basically the smallest one available. We're gonna take our box of screws, and we're gonna start the tedious work of actually putting the screws in each of the hole there. I never actually got to count them. I do believe there are about 80 to 90 of them. I'm not sure, never bothered to count it. It's just a pain in the neck to do it, but I'll do it because, you know, I like doing this stuff and I like to save people money. So what can you do? Now I'm not gonna keep you watching while I'm setting up all the screws. You'll go like this. It's basically a screw. I'll be back once the screws are all in place. Okay, so we're back with all the screws in place. We'll have to start reassembling the computer. Much easier than actually disassembling it. We're gonna set up, we're gonna put the backlight on. You'll have, this is very easy to do because you have the little poles. You can use it as guidance. Okay, you cannot put it crooked or anything like that. So we have that on. Now we're gonna put the first component in, which is the little daughter board. You can take advantage of this opportunity to actually clean it up a little bit, dust it off if there's any dust, as it will help it you know, work a little bit better down the road. Let me put this a little bit like that. Okay, so you guys see it perfect. Okay, so now the daughter board goes first, and remember the big screw, which is the T8. We're gonna put that one in. It's right here on the corner to secure it in place. Then we're gonna drive in the second screw, which is the T5, I believe so. Yeah, T5. Okay, Now we're gonna take the motherboard. Okay. And we're gonna set it up starting from here. Okay, you do it at an angle and then just slowly push it down. It should perfectly align with the screw holes. Okay, now we take the Phillips tip and we're gonna put the Phillips screw, which is the silver one. We're gonna put it right here on a corner, and from now on we're only gonna use the T5. And let's secure the main board. It has 5 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, meanwhile, once you put the motherboard in and you secured it, you can also connect everything to it, especially the keyboard, because once you put the battery back on, attaching the keyboard will be a little bit hard. Okay, so we're gonna hook up the power right here, the daughterboard power connection. We're gonna do the trackpad. Make sure the connections are pushed all the way in, so push it all the way in as much as you can and then close the flap. Keyboard. Okay, we're gonna do the microphone. Backlight and the power cable. Okay, we're gonna put the speakers back on. 1 and 2. By the way, word of advice, don't put the speakers together with the screws, as they have strong magnets in the diaphragm, so they will attract the screws and potentially damaging the speaker, so you don't want to do that, right? Okay. 1, 2. We can skip this part as it's pretty boring, I believe, but I decided to do the whole video, so just in case somebody needs a little bit more help. Okay, you can do it basically in real time with me. And that's about it. Okay, now we're gonna hook up the right speaker. We're gonna put it in. We'll do the cable connecting the daughterboard to the main board. Now the way you do it, you see this cable, it has a little bit of indentation here. This one will go towards the left, so the indentation will be on the side with the smaller board. Make sure you align it properly, and then you just want to push it down. You don't want to play with it too much because you might actually damage the connection, and if you damage the connection, then you'll have to purchase a new board. Okay, so I'll do that. There are 2 more screws, which is one into the fan, and now we can go ahead and put back the display. Now, how I like to put the display back on: slide the computer all the way to the side of the table. You come on the display just like this. Okay, you move it a little bit, make sure you don't drop it. You can help the hinges down with your fingers, and it should be in. Okay, now the display is in. Okay, we'll take the T8 and we'll put one screw on one side, and don't over tie it, because we have to make sure that it's perfectly aligned. And we'll do the second screw, which is right here. Now you see the Wi-Fi cables, they have a little metallic piece which goes with the hinge, so that's how you want to do it. Okay, now let's see if the screen closes. Yep, perfectly aligned. Now with the screen closed, you can put the other 4 screws inside the hinges. And after you put the screws, then you can tie it, all of them. Don't over tie them in the very beginning. Okay, now we're gonna tie them up, and don't over tie it, because you might strip the screw, or worse, strip the thread on the board side, I mean on the top case side, and then you'll have to replace the top case. Now we'll put the lvds cable in. The Wi-Fi cables. Okay. And now we're gonna do the camera. Slide it in lightly, because you might break the connection, so don't put too much pressure on it. And that's about it. Now it's time to put back the little shield on the right here on the trackpad. Then you can tape a little tape, which I used it in the past in previous videos. I'm using this type of double-sided tape. Just gonna cut a couple little pieces, and that will help keep the battery secure. Any double-sided tape will work. It doesn't have to be the same tar tape Apple uses, because that one is, I think it's a little bit retarded. It's way too strong, so you don't even have to go the same pattern as Apple used it. Honestly, the battery will not go anywhere, so use as much or as little tape as you find it fit. I pretty much use 2 strips on each side. That should be plenty enough to hold the battery secure in place. And yeah, and that if you apply too much, in case you'll have to change the battery at some point by yourself, then you don't have to go through the pain of removing that much tape all over again. Okay, so okay, I'm sorry, but I cannot take that call right now. So let's see. There we go. Now we're gonna put back the battery. Okay, we're gonna slide it in. We'll start from that end, or you can start whatever you want. Okay. And that's that. Put a little pressure on it. Then there is another screw right here which will go into the battery. It's a T8, is the last screw we have left. Okay, don't forget about these two little pieces which will go each on each side of the LCD. Not a big problem if you forget to put it, but I would say don't forget it. Okay. Then we'll apply these two, the shields, okay, which will hold this cable together. And we're ready to test the computer. Make sure it turns on. Make sure that all the keys are working. Sometimes, now before you do that, I also want to mention, sometimes, very rarely, I receive a faulty keyboard. Now it's always advised that you test the keyboard before you put it in. This one I already tested it, I know it is working. Very easy way to test it will be to just leave this flap while the computer once you open the computer up, try to jimmy it in, just push in the new keyboard and test it. Okay, if that works, then you're good. So just to test it now, even though I did it before, but it's not hurting to test it again. I'm gonna turn on the computer. Okay, and anyhow we have, okay, whatever you see the name, does not really matter. Keys, they do work. Okay, I will get into I will actually have to get inside the operating system to make sure that everything works, but take my word and believe me, all the keys are working as I've tested it before. Okay, so this is all for today. I really do hope that you're brave enough to actually try this on your own. Again, it's not much if you take your time, pay close attention to the connectors. It's not much you can mess up while doing this. So, you know, let's say if at some point it turns out, well, it's a little bit too difficult, or you cannot take the little rivets, metal rivets from over there, you can always take it to a repair shop, and you already did them half a job, so probably they're even going to give you a discount. I would encourage everybody to try to fix their own computers. It's not really that hard. Guidance and patience, that's all it takes. The tools I used are pretty minimal, so besides those three pry tools, which probably you don't have, you'll have a T5, a T8, and a very fine Phillips tip on your screwdriver. You'll need a tweezer, and you'll need a good plier, okay, to remove the keyboard, and that's about it. And you need this 10 fingers. Anyways, not gonna make this longer than it's supposed to be. I hope you guys learned something. If this video was helpful for you, don't forget to like the video, share it, or why not subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to come pretty often with new videos, which I hope you guys find it helpful. Till next time, take care.